In this video, we're going to go through how to write and graph equations of lines. So we're going to write them in parallel and perpendicular lines. So you have to remember point-slope form and slope-intercept form. So let's review those first. So point-slope form is what we're going to use a lot of the times, and that's what this first equation is. And m is the slope, and the x1, y1 is a coordinate that is on that line. For slope-intercept form, this is what it looks like because we have the slope and the y-intercept. And the m is the slope, and y is the y-intercept. Alright, so the first steps will be very similar. So first we need to find the slope of this line off to the side, so using 0, 4, and 3, -2. So go ahead and find the slope of those two coordinates. So the slope that you end up getting is a -2 once you subtract. And also if you counted on the graph itself, you would see that there's 3 spaces across, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces high. So if you think of rise of a run, that'd be 6/3, which also gives you the 2. And then you have to think of that the fact that it is decreasing from left to right, so it's going downhill, so we know it's going to be a negative. So it'd still give you a -2. So remember, there's always different ways of finding what your slope is. So point-slope form, we have to choose one of the coordinates that we are going to use. So I'm going to use the 3, -2. And then I need to put my numbers into the setup. My y1, which is this -2 right here, needs to go in first. That'd be a -2 or a -2. My slope is a -2, so my slope goes next. And then my x value is last, so it's always going to be a minus in the parentheses, but then because it's a 3, it just stays a minus. So next I need to simplify a few things, because if I have a double negative, that needs to change. And now I need to rewrite my equation down into this point-slope form. And this is what your equation should be. So y plus 2 equals -2 times the quantity x minus 3. There you go, I had to fix that. I had put x plus 3 instead of x minus 3. So next, slope-intercept form. The way to change your point-slope form into slope-intercept form is basically solve for y. So we need to distribute the -2 to both of those inside, and then we need to subtract this 2 with the like term on the right-hand side. So there's my work after I distribute the -2 to both of them, and then I need to subtract the 2 underneath my like term. Sorry, I'm doing this really tiny so it can fit. And then my equation I should get for slope-intercept form to be y equals -2x, and that would be a plus 4. So now we need to write the equation of the line that is parallel, and it goes through the point -1, 1, and it is parallel to the equation y equals 2x minus 3. So what you have to remember is from this equation you need to write down what is the original slope. So our original slope is m. If we want the parallel slope, you have to remember parallel means that we need to have the same slope. So my slope is going to stay at 2. So next we need to use our coordinate, so the -1, 1, with our new slope of the parallel slope, and we're going to put those 3 numbers into point-slope form. And most of the time you can leave your answer into point-slope form. In this first one I'm going to write it in both ways. I'm going to do point-slope form, and then I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form, so you can see it both ways. Alright, so my y1 is this one here at the end, so that's where it goes. My 2 is my slope, so that goes next. And then my x1, my -1, goes last. So I need to simplify that by changing this to my minus the negative to a plus, and this is what my equation would look like. And there would be my answer if I need to write it into point-slope form. So you do want to simplify the double negatives if there are any. So next, if I want to put this into slope-intercept form, I need to solve for y. So I need to distribute the 2 times the x and the 1. And then I need to move this 1 to the other side. So I need to add 1 to my like terms. So I end up with y equals 2x plus 3. And that will be written in slope-intercept form. So some questions may ask for point-slope form. Some may ask for slope-intercept form. Alright, this one is very, very similar, except we are going to write the equation that's perpendicular now instead. So if our original slope is a -2/1 from right there, then I need to write the perpendicular slope, and if you remember, it needs to be reciprocal and the opposite sign. So in this case, it should be a positive number because we already have the negative, and we need to do the reciprocal, so that would be 1/2 is the slope we want to use. And then we're still going to use this 2, 3, the coordinate that they're going to go through, And then those are the three numbers that we need to put into our point slope form. So this is what I would like you to do. I would like you to set up the point slope form equation, and then once you've got that set up, you can check your answer, and then I'll tell you to push pause again and you can work it out and solve for y. So go ahead, push pause, and fill in your point slope equation. All right, your point slope equation should be y minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 2. So next, if you would like to solve for y, to write in slope-intercept form, go ahead, push pause, and then you can check your answer for that one as well. All right, so your slope-intercept form equation, here's the first step you should have done. And when you distribute your negative, or your 1/2 times your 2, think of half of 2 is 1. So then you need to add your 3 to both sides. So that gives us our slope-intercept form equation. Here in blue is y equals 1/2 x plus 2. These next two questions I would like you to try on your own. So you're going to write the equation of the line from the graph at the right, and then you are going to write the equation of the line in point slope form only, not slope-intercept form. So just point slope form that passes through those 2 points. So you need to find the slope between them first, and then you can use that slope then to set up your equation with one of the points, and it's up to you of which point you want to use. So push pause, work them out, and then when you're ready to check your answer, you can push play. So if you were working out the slope by hand, this is what your first setup would look like, and you would end up with a -2 over -3, so then in the end your slope would be a positive 2/3. Next, if you're going to write the equation of the line in point slope form, you need to use one of the coordinates. So if you chose to use the 0, -1, this is what your setup would look like. And then don't forget you have a double negative here, so this is really be y plus 1. And if you distribute the right hand side, you'd get 2/3 x, and that's it. So you could subtract your 1 on both sides. So you end up with y equals 2/3 x minus 1 would be your slope-intercept form. If you did point slope form, it would be set up like this, or you could just get rid of that 0 and just have it as an x inside your parentheses. For number 2, when you write the equation of the line in point slope form, first you had to find the slope, and the slope ended up being a -1, and here's the work to support that. Next, you had to choose one of the points. So if you chose -2, 5, this is what yours is going to look like. So you'd have y minus 5 equals your -1, parentheses x minus a -2, so you'd have to change that then to a plus a 2. That would be your answer then. If you chose the point of the 1, 2, this is what your answer would look like. You'd have y minus 2 equals your -1 times the quantity x minus 1, and that would be it. So it depends on which coordinate you use of how that would be set up, but either of those answers would be correct. These are 2 more questions that you're going to try on your own now. So now you need to write the equation of the line that's parallel to the line y equals 3x minus 5. So you're going to do it in point slope form first, and then you can transform it into slope-intercept form. And then number 4 is talking about horizontal and vertical lines and just describing how you know which is which. And you have to think back to the last video of the slopes of horizontal and vertical lines, of which one of those, if you have one of those, and then if you know that those are perpendicular. So go ahead, push pause, and then when you're ready to check your answer, you may push play. All right, so for number 3, your slope of this original equation is a positive 3/1. So if you want the parallel slope to it, then you need to keep it as a 3/1 or just a 3. The point you're going to use then is that 1, 5. So this is what your equation should look like when you're putting it into point slope form. Would be y minus 5 equals a 3, and then x minus 1. So if you're doing point slope form, that would be your answer. If you need to multiply it out, we would get 3x minus 3 there equals y minus 5. We'd have to add the 5 to the other side to get your like terms on one side, and then you'd have y equals 3x plus 2. So if you check it, if you graph this answer and the original equation, they should show parallel on your graph as well. All right, so for number 4, how do you know that the lines x equals 4 and y equals 2 are perpendicular? Well, the x equals 4 is a vertical line, and it also has a slope of being undefined. The line y equals 2 has a slope of 0 and is a horizontal line. And if you remember from the very first part of 3.4, I talked about what perpendicular lines are. And so perpendicular lines are when you have, or all vertical and horizontal lines, are all considered perpendicular lines. Some of the times you're going to have questions like this first one, that you have a real life situation, and you're going to have some like this on the test as well, that you need to explain what the slope and the y-intercept mean. So first you need to find what the slope is. So go ahead and find the slope using those two coordinates given in your picture, and then push play when you're ready to check your answer. Alright, so this is the work you should have to find the slope of that line. So your slope ends up being a 44. So one thing we can fill out right away is that 44 stands for, and you want to put the y's with the x's. Remember, it stands for the rise of a run for your slope, so it's the y's over the x's. So that would be the cost over months. So the cost per month is how much this 44 is telling us. So it's $44 per month. And that would be the amount that you're paying per month to be a member at that gym. So next we need to use this slope and choose one of the coordinates. So I'm going to choose 2 and 231. And when I plug in those two numbers into it, I would have y minus 231, and then inside my parentheses would be x minus 2. My slope then needs to be the 44, and that would be my point slope form. So my y-intercept, I need to find the slope-intercept form before I can find out what the y-intercept is. So if I distribute this, I will end up with a 44x minus 88 equals my y minus 231. So if I add the 231 over here, that I end up with a 187. So that would be 187 is my number for the y-intercept, and that means it is the cost to join the gym, because that's when it's on the y-axis over here. The next question I would like you to do by yourself, so you need to solve for y first, because we practiced that before with one of our worksheets, and then you can find the slope and the y-intercept and label those, and then I'll walk you through how to graph your coordinates again. Alright, so when you solve for y, you should have subtracted your 3x to the right. Next, you should have divided both sides by 4, and that means all three of the terms divided by 4. Alright, so my slope is the number, remember, that is with your x, so it is this negative 3/4 is my slope number. And then my y-intercept is the number that is the constant by itself, so that is my 3. So what we first need to do is graph your y-intercept, and then you're going to use your slope to graph, and since it's a negative 3 on top, I'm going to be going down 3 and 4 to the right. Remember, your slope is just a direction of where to head, so it doesn't tell you where to start. That's where the y-intercept comes in. So go ahead and graph your coordinate for the y-intercept at 0, 3. Then you want to count from that point down 3 and 4 spaces. You can see where my point is, so if you extend that out in both directions, and let's get a few more on there. Those are the only ones I can fit on there, and then you can connect those points together. Don't forget, it is a line, so you want to draw your arrows at both ends of your line. Alright, this is practicing doing the same thing, so you want to explain what the slope and the y-intercept means in number 5. And then in number 6, you're going to graph your 3 different equations, just label them differently as A, B, and C, so we can tell the difference on your graph, since you're going to share the same graph. So push pause, work out your questions, then you can check your answer by pushing play and listening to me. Alright, so for the first one, the 50 that is in your slope, and again, it is talking about the cost of joining the gym, and that would be $50 per month is what you would end up paying for a membership. Next is your y-intercept, and that would be this 125. And this is similar to the last one. That would be the cost to join the gym. All right, for number 6, we have 2 different special types of lines. The first one is a horizontal line at y equals 4. And there's my picture for it as well. The next one is a vertical line at x equals -2. The last one you need to solve for y. So when you solve for y, you should get y equals 1/3 x plus 3. The reason you get y equals -1/3 x plus 3, I'll walk you through the steps. So I subtracted 2x from both sides. I just got my mistake, so I forgot a minus there. So I need to subtract the 2x from both sides, so I fixed that. And then I need to divide everything by -6 all the way across, so negative and negative becomes positive. And same thing here for my y-intercept. So my slope is a positive 1/3. Oops, sorry about that. And my y-intercept is a positive 3. So you should be graphing your y-intercept first, and then starting from there, you're counting up 1, and then you can count to the 3 from there as well. And you can see in my picture, I drew my line the best that I can. Make sure that you label everything so that you know which lines are which. You can always color code it as well with some color pencils if you would like.